Welcome to Westchester Jewish Community Services. As a leading agency in providing a comprehensive spectrum of human services, we have been helping people since 1943. We serve all people in Westchester County, regardless of age, income, or ethnicity. We provide a wide variety of essential and dynamic services that make a difference in people's lives. Children, teens, adults, and senior citizens are served by our network of programs located throughout the county. When people come to us for assistance, they become part of the WJCS family. Our highly trained and skilled staff focus on you and your family and are committed to becoming your partner in finding solutions. For more than half a century, we have been connecting people to services that help them overcome mental, physical, or emotional challenges. WJCS is here in your community when you need us.
Hello, and welcome to The Ways We Care, a program brought to you by Westchester Jewish Community Services. We are the largest human services agency in Westchester County, and we serve over 12,000 residents of Westchester each year. The topic of today's program will be corporate volunteerism, and I'm the Director of Volunteers. My name is Merrill Lewis. I'd like to read a quote to you from someone by the name of Leo Buscaglia, who was a motivational speaker in the 1980s, who passed away. He said, "The volunteers, too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. The contributions of volunteers in our agency are invaluable." And I would like to introduce our guests for today. And before doing that, I'd like to tell you that WJCS is funded by government grants, private foundations and individuals, the UJA Federation, the United Way, and corporations. Our program today on corporate volunteerism, I would like to introduce Connie Kennedy. Thank you for coming, Connie. Connie is the Director of Field Support for Transamerica Leasing and the President and the founder of the Back to School Clothes for Kids program. Mary Figueroa. Mary is with WJCS, and Mary is the Program Director of our After School Advantage program in Mount Vernon. And Liz Garger, who is the Executive Director of the Volunteer Center here in White Plains. Thank you all for coming. My first question is for Connie, and I wanted to know a little bit more about the Back to School Clothes for Kids program, since you are the president and the founder. Can you tell us what gave you the idea to start this program?
Well, 18 years ago, I was reading the Sunday Times, and there was an article called "Children of Poverty Crisis in New York" about kids in welfare hotels in the city. And at that time, these were very, very bad places for kids to be. Needles around, very, very dirty. And I was very moved by the article, but did what I usually did. I read it, said, gee, I have to do something about it. And then by the time I turned the page and looked at the clothes advertisements, I had forgotten.
Right.
But 2 weeks later, there was a letter to the editor where a woman said, you know, there's so many affluent New Yorkers. If everybody bought a homeless kid a pair of jeans or a book bag to go to school, this would really help these children. So it really hit home, and that September, August, I wrote a letter to everyone I knew, business associates, friends and family, asking them to donate $10. We raised $900. That year, Sears matched it. I got in touch with a social worker in the city who was working in the Bronx, and he had 10 children measured and asked their color preferences, and we bought them, each child, a modest wardrobe and school supplies.
Fantastic. Fantastic. How many kids were served the first year?
First year was 10.
Mm-hmm. And then
the next year was 25.
Uh-huh.
And then the third year we came to the attention of the Westchester Business Volunteer Council, which is a group of Westchester corporations banding together to promote volunteerism. And they took us on as their summer project, and that's when things started to happen. The next year was 100, the next year was 200. And for the past 10 years, all the corporations and some private individuals have sent between 500 and 600 kids back to school we say Dress for Success.
What's your grand total of kids who have been closed?
7,000 so far, 7,000 children.
7,000.
Right.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Right.
That
That's great.
is amazing, actually. We have a lot to be proud of with this. Mary, I know that some of the children in your program were clothed, included in this program this year. And I wanted to ask you, first of all, a little bit about, can you tell us something about your program that's housed in an elementary school in Mount Vernon, and what the goals of the program are? And then tell us a little bit about the impact of these clothes had on the kids.
The Advantage program is a collaboration among Westchester Jewish Community Services, the Mount Vernon Board of Education, Family Services of Westchester, and the Westchester Jewish Community Services is the lead agency. We also collaborate with the Mount Vernon Youth Bureau. And the Advantage program is a program where we it's based around educational, recreational, and social skills building for the children. We service 110 students. The hours of the program are from 3 to 6:15. And
what are the ages of the kids?
The ages of the children are from 6 to 11, grades 1 through 5. And we have, the children are under the supervision of a professional teacher, certified teacher through the Board of Education. And we have youth assistants and youth leaders, which are, paraprofessionals, adult paraprofessionals, that supervise the children and mentor them. The children engage in several types of activities. We have, first they have a snack, and then they go on to have homework assistance for an hour, and after that hour they have a choice of going into different types of activities, which are gym, arts and crafts. They may have music, dance, there's also just an array of different types of activities. We partner with the Westchester Reform Temple, so now we do have volunteers come in. Volunteer programs are so wonderful. So we have retired teachers that come in also to tutor the children. They do have some tutoring and homework, remedial work that is done with them. We have a basketball coach that comes in to develop a basketball team, work with the children. We also have an anti-violence and a social skills building curriculum through Family Services of Westchester, so we have a social worker for the 3 hours, and that curriculum is the Adventures in Peacemaking curriculum. So every child attends a class, a 50-minute class once a week in that curriculum.
Excuse me.
We also have a volunteer that comes in once a week to teach the children origami. And we partner with the Pelham Arts Center, and through them we have an artist in residence program. So every 5 or 6 weeks there's a rotation with a different artist. We may have a graphic artist, a visual artist, a literary artist, and a performing artist. So the children are in the second group now, where they will be doing the dance program and that program will be for about 8 weeks. We also partner with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and a nutritionist comes in once a week to work with a group of students to teach them basic nutrition and food preparation, food handlings, and food safety.
How are these children chosen, Mary?
Well, it's
from the whole school population.
I send out applications to every grade in the school, and then it's really a first come, first serve basis. And if the social worker in the school recommends, or a teacher would recommend that I take one of the students, for special services, then I will do that. To help a particular child that may need extra tutoring or mentoring.
Might these be children who might fall through the cracks
Yes,
if they weren't in this program?
Yes, it is a high risk. It's for children with high risk behaviors, and what we want to do is try to give the children support, so they'll have services, resources to be able to make appropriate types of choices. We try to allay any type of inappropriate behavior, teach them how to make friends, you know, real social skills building, communication skills. In the Adventures in Peacemaking curriculum, there's friendship groups. So they really learn a lot of social skills, which is, you know, very good
Very.
for them.
Very, very important. God, sign me up. Now, I'd like to know the reaction of it. We had, I think it was 5 children from your program were nominated to receive back-to-school clothes. And Mary had the pleasure of actually dropping the clothes off to the children's homes, which was a real perk. And I just like you to tell us about the reaction of the children and their parents to the new clothes.
Well, one family, which two young boys that were in my program that I had selected, and I took the clothes to them, and they were so happy. I mean, the expression was, I just can't even explain. It was just such a good feeling, and the mother was smiling, and the children were smiling, and they wanted to, you know, look at the clothes and go through it, and they were just really ecstatic. I just can't even I can't explain it, because and it was such a good feeling for me to really, you know, see how much they appreciate it. And the mother really did appreciate it, because she was not able to buy the children clothes, you know, to start back to school. And then there was another little young lady. Her mother wasn't home at the time, so I brought her things over. But I had called her mother at work to let her know that I was going to drop them off, and her sister was there, and she had the biggest grin on her face. She was just so excited. And then the next day, they had their new clothes on, so they came in to show me. And they said, "Oh, Miss Figueroa, look what," and it was really a wonderful feeling.
It is.
Really was. They appreciated it very much.
It's such an amazing program. Let's move to Liz. And Liz, of course, knows about this program very intimately. I'm just curious how corporations and businesses are involved in the Volunteer Center. In what way are they involved?
Well, as Connie mentioned before, and before I say anything, I really want to compliment Connie on all the work she does as her side job to pull this program together. The Volunteer Center established Westchester Business Volunteer Council many years ago. And as Connie said, this is one of the major initiatives that the council has undertaken. They really, really enjoy it. It starts off with a launch breakfast to get people involved and to inform everybody what it's all about. And we have about 45 companies that are involved in our Business Volunteer Council, and they really wrap their arms around this particular project. We do other projects during the years, but this one really, really touches home for all of them. And many of them will have parties at their companies where they give out the clothes to the children. A lot of them will even go shopping with some of the older kids. It's really a way for the employees, the company, they get involved in wrapping the clothes together, putting them in packaging and bags to give to the kids. I mean, it's just something that everybody in the company can really get behind. It's really a great initiative for them.
It seems to really, this seems to touch everyone.
It does,
This and the holiday program, I think, are the two that really touch. Now, anyone who's tuning in might want to know, do you have to be a corporation to participate in this?
No, actually the name of the council used to be the Westchester Corporate Volunteer Council, but we changed it to business because there are a lot of small businesses in Westchester County that get involved in the community as well. There are several companies that will close up their shop for a day and take all of their employees, maybe they have 15 employees or 20 employees, and they'll take their employees out to do some community service for the day as a group. It's a great team building exercise as well. They incorporate some management exercises as part of it. Maybe what they'll do is they'll go in and they'll mentor kids for a day. They'll help paint a room that needs some refurbishing. They'll do things like Habitat for Humanity, help get houses started. So it's companies or businesses of all sizes.
All sizes. And I wanted to ask you what other, since this is such a fabulous program, what other initiatives that you know of are businesses in Westchester involved in?
Well, the Westchester Business Volunteer Council gets behind the Back to School Clothes for Kids drive, which starts in July. and then runs obviously until school gets started. Right now they're involved in a food patch, a food drive for Food Patch, where they gather items, not necessarily food items, it could be toiletries, it could be a variety of items for the needy in our community in Westchester. They do holiday drives, and then each month the businesses get together and various agencies will come in to discuss their needs so that they're well informed about the needs of the community as a whole, and each company can then adopt particular activities that they might have a slant for or an interest in.
I think that many people think of Westchester as an affluent county, but don't realize
The needs are great. Yeah.
how many needs we have here. Now, do all corporations and businesses have formalized volunteer programs?
No, not every business. I think a lot of companies think they may be too small, so what we try to do is encourage small businesses to get involved as well as larger companies or larger corporations. IBM, for instance, just started a whole new program for their employees called In Demand Community, revolving around technology that they can offer to the community. Many companies will have matching programs, so if you volunteer a certain period of time at a particular agency, they'll match the hours with funds. But a lot of companies still, it's based on the individuals in the companies to get it started.
So both large and small may not have
No,
programs.
that's
And
true.
if someone is watching and wanted to start a program, how would they go about it? Would they contact you, and would you help to pull it together for them?
Right, they can contact the Volunteer Center. We would encourage them to join our Business Volunteer Council because obviously many of the companies, like Connie's company, that are involved in the Business Volunteer Council do community activities and volunteerism with their employees and do it very well. So it's a great resource for them to pick and choose and learn as much as they
Excuse
can
me.
from other companies, as well as the Volunteer Center can give them guidance in getting their program started.
Would you like to give the phone number of the Volunteer Center?
Sure, we actually have a 1-866 number. It's 1-866-VOL-CALL, and I'm not going to remember the numbers associated with VOL-CALL. It's VOLCALL.
And the website.
The website is great. It's www.vol for volunteer, VOLcenterwest.org.
Great. So anyone out there who would like to start a program and thinks they don't have enough people, there is no such thing, really.
Correct.
You can start it with just a few people.
Right.
I was very interested in Connie's program. This was the first year that WJCS got to participate from my constant nudging. I think it's an incredibly fabulous program, and I think you should be so proud for having started it and the impact you've had on so many kids. Do you want to explain to the viewers the mechanics of the program, how it works?
For kids 5 to 11, social workers, program directors, homeless facility coordinators will measure the child and fill out a profile with their color preferences, style preferences. And then companies or interested families can even sponsor children. They'll take a certain number of profiles and shop for that child. And based on the data sheet, you really feel like you know the child. Child's first name is on there, and as I said, their preferences. And they'll get for each child 3 tops, 3 bottoms, 3 sets of underwear and socks, backpacks, school supplies, and sneakers or coat. So it's nothing fancy. It's clothes that every child should have to go to school.
No, just the basics.
The basics. And then for teenagers who are very hard to fit and even harder to please, we tried it that same way for a couple of years and it didn't work out. What teen wants to get clothes that someone they didn't know or they did know? So what we do is we have shopping nights in September and they go into October. This year we had about 10 of them at the Galleria.
I know I was
Right.
privileged to attend one.
And the social workers bring in the teens, about 10. We try to have them matched up with a volunteer per teen. And the volunteers are from some of the businesses. And we have a little group session, and we give out ground rules. And the ground rules is you can spend $160, and it has to be for school clothes. some other ground rules. No jewelry, no silk boxers, things like
No
that.
see-through tops.
Right, right. What's left, right, what's left. And so the kids shopped, it was a triangle. They shopped between Old Navy, Foot Locker, and Sears.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun. You know, they, for some of the kids, it was the first time they had shopped like that. Can I read your letter?
Sure, would love to hear some.
This is Dear Kathleen and people at Corporate Outreach. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for going shopping at the Galleria with you. The clothes I got were great and my parents loved it. My father was jealous of my boots. I got 2 outfits out of the shopping. It was also my first time at the Galleria, so it was a great experience for me. So again, I would like to thank you for everything and giving me the chance to see the Galleria. Thank you very much, John. So in a nutshell, younger kids get shopped for by the businesses and people, and the older kids with corporate contributions. We get corporate contributions from Chase, Transamerica, et cetera, et cetera. And we use that money and we fund the shopping for the teens.
Right. It was very interesting to actually go on one of those teen shopping nights.
We only did 4 nights. 4 children the night she was there, and she was totally overwhelmed.
I came home, I was totally wiped.
She should be there when we have
And
14 kids.
I couldn't imagine Connie doing 10 of them. You know, I would need a huge bottle of Bayer aspirin.
But you know, I don't shop. I just sit there and write the checks. So that's how I manage to
well,
do that many.
it was very interesting to see the kids, and they know they have X amount and how they're going to spend
Right.
that, you know,
Right.
the pants, the shirts, and I would hold up things and say, what do you, no.
And what's also
was fun.
great is the volunteers who shop with the kids. When you first pair the teen with the volunteer, it's like the teen is, please, I want to shop by myself. And at the end of the night, it's just such good feelings between the volunteer and the teen.
It was. We had one of the directors of our clinic go with one of the children, one of the teens she nominated, and I think there was a real bonding experience for the 2 of them. They had a wonderful time. I think that we had a lot of thank you letters from our kids, and one young man said, I think he was a 4th grader, said, Dear Miss Kennedy, this is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me. And I thought that just said it all, really.
So
Nicest thing.
we actually had a young woman who was doing some work during the summer for us, answering telephones and doing some office work, and her birthday was in August. And because she was working at the volunteer center, she heard about back-to-school clothes for kids. And she came in the next day and she said, I told my parents that I have so much, and there are so many kids that have so little, that for my birthday, I want them to donate to back-to-school clothes for kids. And this was a
goodness.
15-year-old girl. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, she, of course, lives up to this Leo Buscaglia quote.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
it really, you just touch one person and you've saved the world. I would like to talk a little bit about not just the back-to-school clothes program, but ways in which, for example, Mary, you can envision groups of volunteers coming into your program and helping to enrich the program.
For me, I think that one of the ways would be for people to come in who have particular talents that would like to volunteer. If they could play an instrument, they could come in and teach the children how to play an instrument. Or if someone who was had a craft like sewing or knitting or perhaps crocheting, that too would be something very nice for the children to learn to do. On Fridays we have club days, so the children could get involved in different kinds of clubs if they wanted quilting or something of that type. So any type of talent or skill that someone would want to share, come in and volunteer once a week for an hour with the children, it would be a wonderful experience for them. And that's partly what the congregants from the Westchester Reform Temple have been doing. And it has really been a very enriching experience for the children to, you know, to spend with the adults, and they take time with them. We now have a journal club that 2 of the volunteers, a husband and wife team, has come in, and they've developed a journal club for the children, and they released their first newsletter. And they were so proud, and the parents were really, they really appreciate it. They were impressed. It was one of the mothers says, I'm really very impressed. And you can bring out a lot of the creativity in the children.
And I think that you were telling me that some volunteers from the temple, she was a gynecologist,
Yes.
OBGYN,
Yes.
doctor came in to talk to the kids about developing fetuses, the brain of a developing fetus, and the children were able to ask questions. And really, when would kids this age ever get an experience or an opportunity to be almost one-on-one with someone at this skill level? And, I said, who knows, you might have one budding doctor there, and you never know, this one person comes in and could just really make a difference, all the difference in the world. And then we had the attorney who came in, who talked to the kids about what it means to go to law school, different kinds of law that you can practice, etc. So it's really terrific. And I think that, feeling good about yourself, good self-esteem, this is all built into the program.
Yes, it is. Developing self-esteem, confidence, competency in your academic work, learning how to make friends, and it really is a very enriching program for the children, and it gives them aspirations. Having the experience of being with professionals and letting them know the different types of jobs that may be available for them, or just to spark an interest in some type of a profession. And it's been very, very rewarding for them.
Right, for goal setting. When we're talking about self-esteem, of course, how you look has, especially for kids, but also for adults.
Yes.
How you dress for an interview, how you show up your first day of school. Has a lot to do with how good you feel about yourself. Connie, maybe you could talk about what you think your program does for kids.
Well, I think it gets across that school is important, that they're important. It gets excitement for that first day of school. With some teenagers, I've been told by more than one social worker, it can be the difference between a teen getting to school or not by what clothes they have or don't have. And it also gives them a modest wardrobe to get through the fall and winter months.
Right. Well, certainly, I think we're winding down on our time, so I would like to know if any of you have any messages or concluding remarks that you would like to make. Or I might have to balance that spoon on my nose.
Well, as the Volunteer Center, I would like to encourage anybody listening to the program to do just that, to volunteer. And they can go on our website and they can search for volunteer job opportunities. I was speaking to Mary before about how agencies can also register on our website and list the jobs, volunteer jobs that they might need, such as mentors for the children. So I would encourage everybody to volunteer, because where the children from the Back to School Clothes for Kids program feel good about themselves and can start off the school year feeling great, I think most people that volunteer feel very good about themselves as well.
Oh, it's definitely a win-win. Being a director of volunteers, I know that. It's such a win-win. I have people calling me, people who volunteer with Mary, and saying, thank you for allowing me the privilege of getting to know these kids. Because it does enrich their lives as well.
Right.
So certainly,
And
Mary?
the children really, when as the recipient, my program being the recipient of volunteers, it has made such a difference in many of these children's lives. On Thursdays, some of the volunteers come in, and now the children look and they come to my office even during the day, and they will ask me, are my friends coming in today to be with me? And it really is a wonderful situation.
The best. Connie?
Well, I think that there's always going to be lots of children that need decent clothing to go back to school, so I hope that people who view the show will get involved, and it doesn't have to be a business. It can be a woman who has a couple of kids, a family that they take their kids shopping for this underprivileged child, and they show their children that there are kids that aren't as fortunate as you are, and this is one way to help them.
I think it starts early,
Right.
showing kids. It could be a soccer team,
Sure.
or any sort of a sports team. That's
Or
you know.
confirmation, children who are being bar mitzvahed or receiving confirmation. I know they need projects. We had a young woman have all her bat mitzvah money, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, she donated it for back-to-school clothes for kids and delivered 35 backpacks full of school supplies.
That's
Well, that
incredible.
truly is a mitzvah.
Yes.
Right.
That truly is a mitzvah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, three, for being here today. And again, I look forward to working with you in the fall
Right.
on this project. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to The Ways We Care, a program brought to you by Westchester Jewish Community Services. Westchester Jewish Community Services is the largest human services agency in Westchester County, serving over 12,000 residents annually. We are funded by government grants, private foundations and individuals, UJA Federation, the United Way, and corporations. I'm Meryl Lewis, and I'm the Director of Volunteers at WJCS. I would like to read a quote by Leo Buscaglia, who was a psychologist in the 1980s and a motivational speaker on TV. Leo Buscaglia said, "Volunteers have always played an integral part. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around." The contributions of our volunteers at WJCS are invaluable, and to other agencies in Westchester County. Today we will be examining corporate volunteerism, which is a large part of our agency. And we have today as our guests two VPs from J.P. Morgan Chase. We have Dennis McDermott, VP and Community Investment Officer. Thank you, Dennis, for coming. And we have Brenda Berta, who is the Sales Manager and VP of the Middle Market Banking Group. Thank you. And we have from WJCS in our continuing day treatment program, Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor, Jay Selinger.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming. Dennis, tell me, how large is J.P. Morgan Chase's presence in Westchester County?
Well, we have 38 retail branches and a middle market banking office that serves not only corporations but also government, and a retail office in downtown White Plains as sort of a headquarters office, and about 500 employees.
Mm-hmm. That's the corporate.
Well, all of our businesses together between their retail and corporate banking.
Okay.
About 500 employees here in Westchester. Our main headquarters, as you probably know, is in Manhattan.
Right.
And we do have large offices in Brooklyn and Manhattan and also Jersey City, as well as some places around the country.
Of course, many of the people who work at Chase in Manhattan probably live in Westchester.
I think that's probably true. Yeah, at one point we figured out there were about 1,200 J.P. Morgan Chase employees that lived in Westchester, some of whom worked here in Westchester and some of whom commute to jobs in other places.
Right. So we have a pretty good pool of potential volunteers then.
True.
Now, we have been very lucky this year in participating with Chase, in J.P. Morgan Chase, in different areas. I know through the Global Days of Caring, you helped us out at Valdale, one of our residential homes, with some landscaping. I know you helped us out in our Have a Heart for the Holidays project, and spiffing up our waiting room in Hartsdale, and even in our program, our after-school program with a Halloween party. So we've really had, it's been really a wonderful perk being together with you. Now, I'd like to know from Brenda what the mission is on volunteerism, since it seems to be such an integral part of Chase.
J.P. Morgan Chase, we look to be dedicated to working with the communities in which we serve and enhancing the well-being of people that live in those communities. through our employees' volunteerism. And most of those people are our employees who are living in those communities. And we participate on various levels. You can participate on an individual level, you can participate on a team level, and you can participate through our Global Days of Service, which runs for the whole month of October. And every year, every weekend, there's even projects during the weekdays that our volunteers participate through the month of October.
And I mean, I know you have a really tremendous program, and it's extremely well organized. How do you think this got started, that it's such a big part of the mentality at Chase?
I think the purpose of our program was to enhance our employees' involvement, either in the workplace or in the communities where they live. And by doing that, they're serving themselves. They feel good about the company that they work for. It enhances their ability to feel comfortable in a situation working with some of the clients that we serve, which are not-for-profits that we do our volunteering for.
It also acts as a leadership development opportunity for people, getting involved in something that's different than what they do on a daily basis. It helps them grow, both personally and professionally. A lot of times we see, even at a senior level, people who are involved in situations that they have extra resources available to them just because of their work in a nonprofit agency. It's really quite interesting.
Right. Plus, it gives them an opportunity to get their families involved, because a lot of times, you know, it's hard to get away to go do a volunteer activity and you're away from your family, and you want to spend time with your family on the weekends, but you also want to serve on maybe a team that your office has put together for a walkathon, or to paint a building, or to do Habitat for Humanity. So it's an opportunity for you to maybe bring your family on board, such as an experience that I had. My mother-in-law helped me at Habitat for Humanity.
Did you put up sheetrock?
No, she cleaned the garden out.
Okay.
But you know, you can go as a family, and you know, but you can also go as a team with your different lines of businesses that we have. We have different areas, and they can go and do team building exercises as well, by painting a building or cleaning up a garden or a park or cleaning out a riverbed or something of that
What about
nature.
one-on-one opportunities? Do you have many one-on-one opportunities for Chase employees?
It's really unlimited, I suppose. It's when people follow their passions, and I think that's the beautiful part about our volunteer program, where our formal philanthropy program is focused. We have some very clear focus areas that the corporation tries to get involved in from you know, the dollars that our foundation puts out. But from an employee volunteer perspective, whether it be some matching gift dollars that they might want to invest in their favorite nonprofit or some type of volunteer activity, they can pretty much do anything they want, and the corporation will follow them to a certain degree with some assistance, some support.
So basically, we're talking about matching grants here?
There's matching gifts, there's volunteer team grants, there's individual recognition grants that our foundation has available to employees who are involved in nonprofit activities. And it could be, as you mentioned, a one-on-one where a person says, I want to go volunteer at my children's school and be a mentor, or do something with the PTA. Two is something as broad as a group of people. You know, I've been to projects in Central Park where there's literally hundreds of employees coming out to do a road race and a Halloween program. I mean, you can just imagine Central Park. How many
Right.
kids can you get to Central Park on a Saturday afternoon?
Right.
Or it might be something as high as somebody participating as a board member for a certain not-for-profit, and they sit on the board, they participate on the board, they deliver the mission of that particular not-for-profit to the employees that are around them, or employees that they know that serve that community, and deliver the message for that not-for-profit.
In fact, one of our colleagues is the treasurer for the WJCS board. So there's a perfect example of an individual who is following his passion, which is happens to be aligned with what he does for a living. You know, he's involved with global risk management at JPMorgan Chase in the city.
It's merging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Merging your personal and professional lives. I think that's what's so terrific about being able to bring your family and mixing the two, your professional and your personal life, for the good of a third party, really. I think that is really a terrific opportunity. Let's talk a little bit to Jay, who is at one of the WJCS programs here in White Plains, at the Continuing Day Treatment Program. Jay, would you tell us a little bit about your program?
Well, it's primarily a geriatric day treatment program, but I run a track of younger individuals who are both mentally ill and mentally retarded, and I try to get them back into the world of work. We run pre-vocational groups, and basically we introduce them to all the facets that go into both getting and keeping a job. Many of them have worked before, some of them haven't worked. The ages run from anywhere from 27 now to 60. And it's a small, closely knit group, but they integrate very well with the older adults in the program. Everyone sees each other as a big family. We run work readiness groups. We also run a number of educational style groups. We serve a hot lunch. Program time is from 9 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon. And it's interesting that you had mentioned, Dennis, about mentoring, because many of our individuals really have rather sheltered environments, and to expose them to a variety of situations and to be involved with people. A major component of our program is to develop interpersonal skills. Whether it be just simple communication, having a good conversation with someone, to being in an interview situation, being able to tell me a little bit about yourself. That's, you know, a very tough question for a lot of our individuals. But many of them are involved in supported employment, that's working with a job coach in a regular job in the community. Sheltered employment, which is a little bit more workshop-oriented in the WARCs in the area, the Careers Program, Keon Vocational Center in Montrose, a variety of work situations that we associate ourselves with. And we use the VESID state system under the Department of Education to both do an evaluation and placement for our individuals.
Jay, if someone were listening and needed a simple job to be done, like a mailing, for example, would they be able to contact you?
Oh, certainly. We love to do mailings, and our phone number is 946-6220, and you can contact our program coordinator, Virginia Reiser. Any volunteer jobs or part-time jobs are most helpful, especially for our individuals. They just want the opportunity to work, which is really one of life's great pleasures.
Right, and what I think has struck me about the program that Jay works in is there's a very safe feeling when you go there, because many individuals have had some very negative experiences in different settings, feelings of rejection or humiliation. But when you go to the Continuing Day Treatment Program, you really do feel this tremendous acceptance of individual differences when you walk in the door. And it is the sense of community and the sense of family. This is a place that this person can go and feel safe and accepted for who he is or who she is, and be served a hot meal and socialize and get some skills training, because many of these individuals have missed out on very large developmental periods of their lives where we would just assume you gather those skills. So it's a terrific program, and of course we have one in White Plains, WJCS, and we have one in New Rochelle as well. We have two of these programs. Brenda, what you were describing before about these enormous opportunities throughout Chase, how how do you communicate all this information to your employees?
To our employees, we communicate through an intranet site. We send out many communications through our global volunteer group, which is located in Manhattan. Through that group, in each region there are champions, so to speak, and those champions are responsible for trying to spread the word of different volunteer activities that go on throughout your marketplace. And through that, you send the link, you hope people sign on, you hope that they read the emails. The same thing, I guess, that goes on through every marketing person's mind. And we send out a lot of communication. We have different newsletters that go out, and they tend to mention the internet site and where they can go on to find different volunteer opportunities. And monthly newsletter is put together by that group as well, where our employees can sign on to see what opportunities are available to them.
Now, it seems like there's no excuse if you're a J.P. Morgan Chase volunteer. If you're an employee, there is absolutely no excuse if you want to volunteer and you can't find a place.
Right.
It's easy to find something.
Oh, definitely.
Now, for those companies who do not have such an organized program, how would you advise them starting up one?
Well, what's funny is I just received a call from a company the other day, and she was asking me many questions about, how do you talk to your employees, how do you get them involved? And I can't send her the information that we have because it's privileged information, but what I did tell her is there are different networks out there that can match volunteers to different activities in the community, such as the Volunteer Center of Westchester. I also asked her to join the Westchester Business Volunteer Council, which I'm a co-president of. And since she was a smaller company, she thought that maybe that didn't fit for her, but I invited her to come to the next meeting where she can meet other corporations and businesses throughout Westchester County and get a feel for what their volunteer programs are like. But what I would suggest to them first is to contact the Volunteer Center of Westchester to see what is out there for our particular community. Then there are different websites that will match your volunteers up as well, and one website is, I believe it's volunteermatch.org. And what you can do is put in your zip code, and it will list the volunteer activities that are located in that zip code. So that's usually the first starting point.
Right. All you need is the will,
Right.
and the information is out there. You can get the information.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note that a company as large as ours, which right now we're around 100,000 employees worldwide in 50 countries, our volunteer program is really run by 2 people.
Yeah.
With
Brenda?
with a lot
No,
of technology.
I'm not one of them.
No, there's
From
two
downtown.
women that work together in our headquarters at 270 Park, and they're really the people that manage the whole program.
For 100,000
But they
employees?
spider out to all of the
but
Brendas and Dennises
exactly,
of the world.
exactly. It's really a team effort, but in terms of our paid employees who actually manage this global volunteer program,
My goodness.
there's 2 people, and they're remarkable. They really are. But they've embraced technology, and that's really what's allowed them to expand the program as dramatically as it's expanded.
So
I remember
wherever in the world?
the first time we did a global day of service, I guess, was October of, I'm going to say, 1994, 1995, and I remember being on a conference call, and it was just daunting just to think how we were going to make this work. And then technology came along, and the internet and all the other things that have allowed the program to expand with actually less human resources and much better results.
Right.
So the point is that we're not spending a lot of resources managing the program. We're investing the resources into communities where the volunteers can really make a difference.
Well, I think that we had chatted, and you had mentioned something that was very interesting about people who work and live in one community and commute into the city.
Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I thought that was a very interesting point about the disconnect.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the tri-state area, it's no secret that people do commute long distances. If I used to just go to any train station in the morning, and you see a bunch of people getting on the train to go into the city, and you see a bunch of people getting off the train coming from the city. So they sort of lead two lives. Their work life is in one community and their home life is in another community. And frequently I've run into people who have spent 30 years at J.P. Morgan Chase in the city, and now they're retiring, and somehow they get connected to me and they say, well, tell me about my community.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. So I think our volunteer programs, if people use them, they allow them to click in and get connected to WJCS or to whatever their favorite cause is, and really you meet people, you get engaged in something that's outside of your regular work life, and hopefully it makes your life richer.
Oh, I think what's very interesting about volunteers in general, people volunteer for different reasons, and some people may volunteer because someone in their family may have a particular illness, and that is dear to their heart, and they want to help in some way. I remember when I went to volunteer for the first time, I went to the volunteer center, and it was like a menu. It was like a Chinese menu, you know, column A, column B, column C. What are your skills? What do you want to do? And, you know, there was so much that there's no reason anyone, I have something on my refrigerator about if you ever feel lonely or if you ever feel bored, pick up the phone and help someone else. And that will be the fastest cure for your loneliness or your boredom. And so there's so many opportunities out there for everyone in every walk of life. I read in the statement you gave me that there was a 23% increase in participation of volunteers at J.P. Morgan Chase. How can you account for such a large increase?
Well, part of it is technology, there's no question about that, and part of it is word of mouth. I think, I know I've championed a Habitat for Humanity project here in Westchester for the last, I guess, 8 years, and some years 2 projects. And I can always count on people calling up and saying, listen, I participated last year, and do you mind if I bring my brother-in-law or one of my coworkers? You know, it's a great experience, and I think the same thing is true with just about every project that we have here in this area, and I'm sure it's true all over. You know, we do a lot of promotion about it internally. It gets a lot of recognition, and I think the business units in some cases compete with each other in terms of who's got a better project, who's got better photographs, who had more fun. So there's some of that too.
And you're very generous in terms of the materials you provide for the project as well. I know that certainly in Valdale they provided all of the bushes so that your people could come in and landscape
Right.
and
The
do
grant
all the planting.
requests are up to $1,000 per project. And but also I wanted to mention that through the corporate and through the Business Volunteer Council, what we do, what I give at that information at that meeting is to the other businesses around, if they want to get involved in volunteerism for the Global Days of Caring, what I do is I run them a list of the things that J.P. Morgan Chase is doing. So if they don't have anything formally that their companies are doing, they're invited to join us on any projects that we have going.
Oh, I
So I'll
see.
do a printout from our intranet site and hand it out at that meeting, and that, you know, they can contact me or they can contact the name on the particular list of who's holding up that volunteer project.
What percentage would you say of the people who are volunteering during the month of October volunteer throughout the year?
I'm not sure.
I think there's a little bit of a misnomer with our program. I think many times people think that's the only time that they can volunteer, because sometimes someone will call me from another location or business unit and ask me about volunteer grants, and I'll try to explain to them that they can do it any time of year, and they will say, oh, I thought you could only do that in October.
Okay.
And so we have a little bit of a disconnect there, that some people think that it's only the Global Days of Caring that they can do the $1,000 grant for,
Right.
either individually or through a team grant. So there's a little bit of education that we have to put behind it. But that, you know, as a champion for the Global Days of Service, that's a little bit of your job at that point, is to educate the people who are volunteering under you to make sure that they know that they can continue to do this throughout the year. So I wouldn't have any idea. Our two ladies in the city would, I
Right.
bet.
Well, that's a good question for them, because I certainly think as a coordinator of volunteers that this is a hope that someone would volunteer for a Global Days and come in, do their one-day project, and think, wow, they do some great stuff here. You know, I think I'd like to come in and help them out once in a while, and not just on that one day per year, although we're always thankful for that.
Yeah.
But we love to have people come in weekly, whenever.
Yeah, to some degree, it's up to the organization itself to do a little bit of marketing or selling.
Follow up.
Yeah, I think so.
To the individuals.
I think if somebody really has a great experience, or even a very good experience with the project, they're much more likely to get
Embrace it.
involved. And it's a fine line, you know, trying to how do you market these people who are there and get them to the point where they really want to come back.
Right.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one, especially since often these projects take place on the weekend and the programs are not fully in gear.
Right, but this is one of those opportunities where they could engage the volunteers to hopefully get involved as a board member, as an advisory member, maybe just volunteering, you know, once a month with getting their children or their families involved. So that's why Dennis and I tend to, you know, ask them, go for the people who were there, because obviously it was important for them to be there that one day, so hopefully it's important for them to be there another day.
Right. Well, I will definitely follow up on that.
You do a good job.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Can you tell us, Brenda, a few examples of projects that did take place in Westchester in 2003?
Well, outside of the ones for WJCS
Outside
that
of the
you mentioned,
WJCS projects.
actually, through the Business Volunteer Council, I participate with our group and trying to get the branches involved, which is hard for them to get out on volunteer activities, being that they have to mind our customers from 9 to 4 every day.
Right.
But what we do is,
On Global Days, for example.
okay, for the Global Days.
Dennis
we do
mentioned
Habitat for Humanity.
which is a fabulous
We do
one.
back to school clothes for kids.
Yes, which is great.
Food patch, there's
food
always
patch.
something going on with food patch.
Right
whether
now
it's
we're doing a food
food
drive.
drive or people going in to repack food.
There's so many.
a
It's
number-
hard to
we College Careers, which one of our colleagues is a longtime board member. They've done different painting projects and refiling and rearranging.
A-Home, we have one of our colleagues is on the board of A-Home.
I'm familiar with that. We had a couple of clients from A-Home. They do a very good service.
Right.
What
right.
is
Wonderful
A-Home?
program.
It's apropos housing opportunities, and it's really it's located in northern Westchester, and they provide essentially supportive housing for
Okay.
primarily elderly people that would otherwise be homeless, or who knows.
Or people just down on their luck
Yeah.
at times, and it gives them an opportunity to be in a group housing atmosphere, to have support from other folks that are in the house.
In my neighborhood, which is in Mount Vernon and Fleetwood, we every year help the Fleetwood Neighborhood Association do a Halloween party for children. So we usually get anywhere from 10 to 15 JP Morgan Chase volunteers to come out, you know, help with registration and judging the costumes, and it's really a lot of fun.
Oh, it is a lot of fun. We had, we did have, during Global Days, JP Morgan Chase did a Halloween party at
Right.
the After School Advantage program
Right.
in Mount Vernon.
Brenda made me be Santa Claus one time, and I don't know why.
West Hope.
I'm still trying to figure it out. Was it my waistline, or was it just...
No, it was the rosy cheeks.
That's what
right.
it was.
Must have been the rosy cheeks.
But in Westchester alone, I have no idea how many projects. Dennis and I aren't always aware of all the
During
different
that month
volunteer.
of October.
Month of October, probably 22 projects. 22 to 25 projects probably went on, because I know I printed out 22 pages for the Volunteer Council.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
It's probably in there somewhere.
That's great. So for a total of maybe, what, 100 employees, 200 employees?
Yeah, usually, most projects get anywhere from 8 to 15 employees, I would say, so, yeah. A couple hundred.
Well, I'm getting the sign that we are winding down here on time, and I just wanted to know, Jay, if you can quickly let us know if there is any way you can see volunteers coming to your program to enrich your program. How might they do that?
They can contact Virginia Reiser at our at our program at 946-6220. That's at 901 North Broadway in North White Plains. And there's lots of opportunities there. We enjoy having our volunteers there. And if anyone needs anything for mailings or volunteer work, you know, part-time
We can also
jobs
call
or
on you
things, can also call
for
on
that.
us. Yes.
That's terrific.
Great.
Brenda and Dennis, do you have anything to wrap up with?
Volunteer?
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Thanks
Get out there.
thanks for letting us come and join you today.
Listen, it is an absolute pleasure, and I forgot to mention all the wonderful baseball tickets that we get from
Oh,
you
that's
guys
right.
during the
That's
year.
right. We
that
passed
our
that one out.
consumers go to the Mets games.
It's our collaboration with the Mets program. They're very generous in doing a program that's called Baseball is for Kids. We've been doing the program for about, what, 5 years now?
At least,
5
yeah.
years
Oh,
now.
well.
We service over, close to 200,000 children
My
throughout the
goodness.
season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, in addition to our partnership with the Mets, we also do something with the Bridgeport Bluefish
Bluefish.
and the Newark Bears. And I think it's going to team up in Rochester and perhaps one in Houston, Texas, where we have a presence in
Offices.
those areas. So
Right.
if people can't get to the Mets, at least there's something for them to do.
Well, again, many, many thanks for the collaboration with us. I really cherish it. And thank you all for watching.